he intentionally placed the fake note between two real ones. He provocatively asked the gang boss in front of him to distinguish between the real and fake. It was all part of his plan to set him up. He even suggested that if the fake note could be found, the whole bundle of money would belong to the other party.
Abe chutiye, if I point out the fake note, what will I do with the rest? Wipe my ass?
The stakes instantly shot up to 100,000 rupees in cash. However, the gang boss merely glanced at it and immediately gave up, because even the maker of the fake note, after much study, couldn't tell the difference. This fake note was convincing enough to pass as real. The gang boss could hardly believe what he was seeing. Soon, they moved into the price negotiation phase. John started by suggesting a 4-10 exchange rate. 4 real notes for 10 fake ones. But the gang boss was only willing to offer 3. Just as the brothers were about to refuse, the gang boss suddenly proposed a deal for 20 million rupees. Upon hearing the number, John and Tommy's eyes went wide. Even though there was only a 2-week deadline, John immediately agreed without hesitation. If they closed this deal, they'd make 6 million rupees. However, just as they were about to leave.
How much in this bag?
10 lakhs?
Leave it here.
Huh?
Leave it here.
Leave it here.
It was not just a test, but also a challenge for them. Printing 20 million in fake notes within 2 weeks, with only the two of them working on it, was almost an impossible task. But John remained silent, not arguing, because they had no way back. More importantly, completing this deal would make them enough money to keep going. However, when John returned to his grandfather's magazine office, he ran into trouble.
Have you made this?
His uncle discovered the fake note templates and strongly opposed continuing the fake note production. Although John explained that this was the only way to save the magazine, the illegal nature of it made it hard to accept. Seeing he couldn't convince his stubborn uncle, John pulled out a fake note from his pocket. He gently placed it on the table and let his uncle check it himself. His uncle repeatedly examined the note, but still couldn't determine if it was real or fake.
Is this fake? Art.
To put his uncle's doubts to rest, John took him to a high-end restaurant. He intentionally used the fake note to pay the bill. Watching this, his uncle broke out in a sweat. When the waiter returned the change, his uncle finally breathed a sigh of relief. His attitude shifted from resistance to support. However, to produce fake notes on a larger scale, they would need better equipment, larger templates, and more powerful printers. These machines would cost a lot of money, and they didn't even have enough funds for the equipment. To raise money, John decided to borrow from the moneylender.
You mean to repay your Nana's loan, which you already cannot pay? To repay that, you want another loan, right? Did I get it right? Do we look like chutias to you?
He thought this time would be a failure, but the moneylender's father unexpectedly agreed to John's loan request. The condition was to give them 1 month, with a 24% monthly interest rate. Tommy reacted strongly to this, but John agreed without hesitation, because he knew, once they completed the 20 million order, money would not be an issue. After getting the money, they immediately bought new equipment and drying machines. The equipment issue was temporarily solved. However, they encountered a bigger problem. They didn't have the paper for printing the fake notes. Tommy called the paper factory, but he was told that the paper was government-controlled. It required real name registration and proof of qualifications. It also needed to be filed with the relevant department. Tommy was shocked and immediately hung up the phone, since they couldn't get it through regular channels, and small batches couldn't meet their needs. Tommy came up with a bold plan to steal the paper from the factory. That night, they gathered their friends, including Niu Ben and a few others. They were ready to carry out the plan. John had already gathered intel on the factory's warehouse. The warehouse usually had only 3 security guards. With their abilities, they could easily handle it. But just as they were about to act, an unexpected event happened. That night, the final match of a football game was on. The warehouse, which usually had 3 guards, now had more and more security gathered to watch the game. In response to this change, they had no choice but to initiate their second plan.
This mine?
Since stealing wasn't an option, they would break in instead. John, with a dozen of his brothers, showed up at the paper factory entrance. These street thugs quickly dealt with the few security guards. They soon gained control of the situation. The security guards never expected that someone would try to rob a paper factory. And to make matters worse, they were stealing the most insignificant thing, paper. After controlling the guards, John and Tommy immediately rushed into the warehouse. They started searching for the paper they needed. Soon, John found the target on a shelf.
Hey, I found it!
Then, they swaggered out of the factory with the paper. But to prevent the police from discovering their real motives, they also took 2 other types of ordinary paper. This would disguise the robbery as just a regular one. With the deadline fast approaching, they had no time to waste. As soon as the equipment was set up, they started the machines. They ran 24 hours non-stop. Everyone had their role clear. John was in charge of the design and quality of the fake notes. Tommy handled the printing machines and ink mixing. They worked in an orderly fashion to print the fake money. Thanks to their skills and efficient teamwork, they completed the printing of 20 million rupees in less than 2 days. This was ahead of schedule. On the day of delivery, John and Tommy arrived at the agreed Upon location with the cash, their previous deal had made the gang boss very happy with their fake notes. Due to their previous collaboration, John's counterfeit bills had impressed the gang boss so much that this time, the boss didn't even bother checking and quickly completed the transaction. He handed over 6 million rupees in real money, but just as they were about to leave, an unexpected event occurred.
1 second.